Why do you go with the name fake doctor?
Well, you know, when I first came back in 2021, and then things went viral shortly after, you know, I just started getting attacked anyway.
Mm.
So, you know, it was quack or snake oil salesman or, yeah, grifter. Grifter's another one, right?
He got his diploma in the mail.
Yeah, got his diploma in the mail, came in the mail, yeah. Bought the diploma, you know. I just kept getting hit with all that. So I thought fake doctor was fitting.
Because you're the complete opposite of a medical doctor.
Yeah. So I just, I made it a moniker, and, you know, I think the people that know. And the people that don't know, well, hopefully they either want to maybe stick around or, you know, skedaddle.
Yeah.
That's up to them. But
with all the doctors, and like I've gotten this so many times, you know, when on the phone with new prospects, and they're like, does Dr. Reese have what's his education like? Or what is the letters next to his name mean and stuff like that? Do you think that actually matters when trying to heal somebody?
no, not in respect for healing, no. Now, if you're going to perform a surgery, yeah, right? But healing, there really is no degree for healing. I was helping people heal for 8 years as a health coach. That was my title. I was a health coach for 8 years. Some of our biggest testimonies, Kim Wiggins, who had a tumor, was blocking the birth canal. They told her that she was going to die at childbirth. Not only is she still alive, but her kid is in middle school. That was before I had a doctorate.
So it's the work that speaks.
It's the work. Yeah, it's the work. See, I was just, you know, at the beginning of my career, the first few years, I was like, maybe I should go all the way and get that that doctorate. And then I had to look for someone that would accept me. I was like, you know, 33, 34 at the time, you know? And I finally found a school, and I did it. It took 5 years.
Did you feel like it was worth it, though?
Well, I don't use any of the knowledge.
That's
the thing about it is I don't, you know, I passed the test and I did a thesis, but I don't use any of that knowledge. Zero. I use a lot of the knowledge that I learned from when I went to study posture and the musculoskeletal system. You know, it was a little more hands-on, but ultimately I was just looking to get the doctor thing. You know, I didn't know I was going to be attacked that bad.
Yeah.
It's just people don't know the difference between a PhD and an MD. They really don't. So, a PhD is a doctor of philosophy. You know, Albert Einstein is Dr. Einstein. He's not going to perform a surgery. Jordan Peterson is Dr. Peterson. He's not going to perform a surgery. You know. So, even Shaq has a PhD. Shaquille O'Neal has a PhD.
Really?
Dr. O'Neal.
Interesting.
And so I chose a PhD because I felt at the time that I was more of a teacher. And, professors typically have PhDs. So that's why I chose it. Otherwise, I would have went for an ND, naturopathic physician.
Do you feel like people get more credibility behind the letters next to their name?
Yeah, I think it helps. I think it helps. I think Dr. Reese is more successful than Kevin Reese.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the 8 years of just being Kevin Reese, the health coach, Coach Reese, it helps, but it has nothing to do with head to toe healing. It has nothing to do with helping people get better.
Because you developed that on your own. So you did that through practice.
I'm self-studied.
Yeah.
I'm self-studied. I studied Dr. Joel Wallach. I studied Ryan Alexander. I studied Peter Agascu. I studied Joe Dispenza. I studied, Dr. John Sarno. I could go down the list. I studied brain experts. I studied gut experts, feet experts, knee experts. I just found people and studied them in order to learn the whole body. This is completely on me. There's no school. I created my own school, if you will. I just studied and learned enough to know the whole body. And then when I made this discovery, so to speak, of head to toe healing, it just became a thing of, if you just practice it, it's going to work. Your chronic symptoms are going to disappear over time. And, it works. It works. So, I don't really do too much studying anymore. There's not much time to. But, so I'm not an expert in the feet or the knees or the gut. I know enough to connect the dots.
Yeah.
But connecting the dots is more important than being an expert on a particular area, because that's the problem with the medical monopoly. They zoom in.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go to a gut specialist, the gut specialist isn't on the same page as the brain specialist, and the brain specialist isn't on the same page as the eye specialist, and the eye specialist isn't on the same page as the foot specialist, and the foot specialist isn't on the same page as the joint specialist, and it goes on and on. You can go to an eye doctor and a retina doctor.
I hear it all the time. It's the craziest cases. They're like, one doctor's like, why did that doctor put you on that?
Right.
And then it's like, do this instead. And
right.
then the other doctor's, why'd you get off of this medication? We're trying to, it's
we're
ridiculous.
Wiping that clean.
Yeah.
We're wiping that clean, and we're saying, screw all of that. Just practice head to toe healing every day for the rest of your life. Watch your symptoms disappear. Okay? Some may take a few months, some may take a few years. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. You will age backwards. If you're disciplined and courageous enough to practice head to toe healing, you will age backwards.
How long did it take you to develop this head to toe healing?
You could, in a way, say my whole career up until 2021.
Really?
Right? But no, I remember when it happened. I was laying on the floor doing postural therapy. My mind is blown because who knew? Posture. Who knew? I didn't know. Did you know? I didn't know. And, the pain that I was in was gone in 3 weeks. I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. This is crazy, And then I met a guy who healed his back through his mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I already knew about nutrition. So it was just like, it just had this epiphany one day, like this divine download of put all three together, start virtual clinic. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is good stuff. And I did, and it worked.
It makes so much sense because I remember when I started getting into health, what was starting to get big was the gut brain axis and all of those. But I began to look into it, and I'm like, nobody really talks about the eye brain axis or the spine toe axis. I feel like everybody just always goes to specific areas of the body without looking at it as a whole. We don't say, oh my gosh, look at those tires. We say, look at that car.
Right,
We
right,
focus on the whole vehicle.
right.
Why are we always just focusing on little parts of the body as opposed to the whole body? I feel like studying with you, I'm realizing that everything is a full body issue at the end of the day.
That's it.
Arthritis in your hand is still a full body issue.
That's it. And that's all highlighted in Reverse the Cause, the book. 60 plus conditions. You know, you have, the medical monopoly gives you some fancy word as your diagnosis. Let's just call it, let's say, fibromyalgia. And you don't realize that it could be coming from the nutrition, it could be coming from the posture, and it could be coming from the mind. And you don't know which one it's coming from.
Yeah.
And guess what? It doesn't matter. You just practice head to toe healing every day, and it will go away.
Patience.
Encourage.
Yeah.
Encourage. There's someone watching right now that doesn't have the courage to do it yet. It takes courage.
It's a whole lifestyle change, right?
That's it. It's a whole. It's a shift. It's a mindset shift. But yeah, I think people need to. I might be biased, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. People need to get on board with this head to toe healing thing, and ditch the medical monopoly. Unless they're in prison, like I talk about in the Red Book. If they're in prison, then they might need the medical monopoly for a little bit. They might have to balance. But, this head-to-toe healing thing is legit, and I think that it's evident by the testimonies that we have, all on video. And we're going to release a book, the Green Book, which is going to highlight those testimonies. So, yeah, I think, we discovered something here. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take to get this to the masses. For all I know, it'll take another 50 years. I don't know. And also I want to say the name wasn't there right away. If you read Peace Over Pain, there's not much mention of head to toe healing because the name wasn't there yet. I was going by a holistic doctor, and I started getting attacked, and the attorney was like, "Oh, I don't know if you want to do that." And I'm like, "All right, I'll start calling myself a healer." Trademark the name so that doctor's actually in my name, like Dr. Dre, Dr. Phil, And one day, I believe I was on the phone with Tamara in her first stint, and I said something along the lines of, people just need to heal head to toe. And I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds so good, head to toe. And she didn't like it, of course. She never likes my ideas. And she immediately started singing the song, head to toe.
I know.
And, but it stuck. And I was persistent with staying with it, even when people were like, I don't know, that name's weird. Like, no, this is what it has to be. I just know this is what it has to be. Mm. So I invented head to toe healing before the name. The name came a year later.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, head to toe healing. That's it. The head to toe healing analysis, the head to toe healing membership. And that's what we got to help people get better. No specific qualifications needed. This could just as easily be happening without a PhD next to my name.
So we did go on a tangent, but circling back around to like, does education matter? And if someone were to come up to you and ask that question, like, what is your background? What are your initials next to your name? What would you say to them?
I would say I earned a PhD, but everything that I put forth is all self-study. It's all self-study.
Thank you. Well, here comes your favorite part. I really wanted to get Karen's input on this whole subject.
And then we got to get Ryan too.
Oh yeah, another.
Absolutely. Well, as you've been talking here, my fake doctor, because I found you 2 years ago as my fake doctor.
It's a long time ago.
I know.
Now, was it called head to toe healing back then?
No, it was not.
Yeah. See?
It was not. It was peace over pain.
Yeah.
I wanted peace over pain back then. And what's ironic is tomorrow, the 29th, marks the 2-year mark of me starting the head to toe healing challenge, the 120 challenge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tomorrow, which is amazing. And what's incredible is even though you might be a fake doctor, take advantage of that name, because when I go into restaurants and I'm trying to order off the menu, they don't always have what I want to order. And so I use the line, my doctor said, I can't have gluten and I can't have oil. They have a sense of authority. And by me being able to pull that out of my back pocket, it makes it so much easier dealing with the person that's serving the food.
Right.
And the credibility in the kitchen. So thank you for that, for being the doctor.
The fake doctor.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to bring up is, in addition to that, you're a professional dot connector. When you look at people's bodies and you evaluate people's bodies, it's truly amazing how you put the pieces together for them, nutritionally, mentally, and physically. And all of this is virtual. And we have so many people in our group, in our membership, from all around the world. And thank goodness it is virtual, because there's no way I would have been able to do it either, because I'm not in Connecticut with you guys.
Right.
And so I'm really thankful that was possible. But to add on to that, it was making me think of a story when my kids were young. I dropped my son off at wrestling, and I was taking my daughter over to the mall to get something. And I had just recently got my tires changed on my car, my SUV. And I'm driving, and all of a sudden, I had no control over the vehicle. The steering wheel, I could like turn it in circles. And I didn't understand what was happening, and I had to pull over immediately and get parked, because we had just come off the freeway. Thank goodness we were not on the freeway when that happened. I got myself pulled over, and then I called a friend who's a mechanic, and he's like, your tie rods aren't connected. And I'm like, what the heck are tie rods? And he was a professional dot connector for me on the auto side of things. So the tie rods connect to your wheels and make the vehicle run. And that's what makes the steering wheel operate. And the tie rods were not connected. And we were in a position where we literally could have been killed.
Right.
So the reason why I bring this up is, you being a professional dot connector allows people to have that story put together, to know what that missing link is that they've been searching for in the medical system for years and not getting the answers, because everybody's looking at, the steering wheel, the tires, it could be anything. It could be the sparks plugs, it could be the shifter, whatever. I'm not an auto mechanic person, but you connect the dots for people in a way nobody else does. And that is truly amazing. And that's why we have so many people in our membership, is because they found that, getting that symptom score to go down is incredible.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. It's like I said, let's see how long it takes to get this out to the masses. I don't know what it's going to take, but we'll see. What do you think,
Can I
Ryan?
jump in with a car analogy too?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
absolutely.
Actually, it's not even an analogy. It's actually what happened to my car. But what happened to my car is very similar to what happens to a lot of people before they find head to toe healing. Because, they have a problem like in their foot, in their eye, in their stomach, in their whatever, and they got a different specialist, like you said, for each one of these things. And sometimes most of the time they're on a drug for each one of these different things. They're on a drug for blood pressure, or they're on a drug for blood sugar, they're on a diuretic, they're on an antidepressant, they're on all these different things because all of their doctors, or one doctor, they think it's a bunch of different separate problems. Well, the same thing was happening with my car. Everything was going wrong on it. I kept blowing starters. I kept replacing the starter. This is pretty expensive, right? Starter after starter. What the heck is going on here? My AC's not working. Nothing's working. What's going on with my car? And we couldn't find the problem until one guy comes along and he says, well, there's a ground. All of your stuff is grounded out. Your ground is disconnected. Or it's partially connected. It keeps coming off and it's throwing everything off in the car. So I was fixing every individual part and racking my brain. Like, do I just buy a new car here because everything's going wrong? No, it's just one simple problem. And in the case of the human body, it's usually not one simple problem, but the root, like you say in reverse the cause, the root is usually just something that is never suspected by regular medical doctors. In my case, all of my friends, everyone who knew anything about cars, no one suspected the ground. It was just one thing that one guy with that experience needed to bring it all together and say, wait a minute, it's not a problem with your starter. It's not a problem with your AC. It's not a problem with your brakes, everything. There's something bigger. There's something deeper. There's a root here that we're not seeing, and he found it.
And just like that, fixed, right?
Fixed.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing is a lot of people that come into our membership have had so many conversations in the medical community and they're running into brick walls. They're not getting the results or answers that they're looking for, or it's just a revolving door of medications to fix one problem that then creates another problem that creates another problem. So it's refreshing once they have that analysis to really see how to connect those dots to begin to get those symptoms to go away. Like Ryan was saying, it could be it could be a missing link, but a lot of times those symptoms that occur cause so many different chronic conditions and they overlap in the body to many different things.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that the medical profession, they don't study nutrition. I think between you and Ryan and Coach Sean and all of us on the team, we've studied hours upon hours of nutritional information.
Yeah. Well, I think if anyone at home wants to start making the process they should call drreese.com, schedule a call, watch the free class, make a step. Make the step. We don't just put people into the membership. You got to take some steps. Get your analysis, get your call, and get focused, get serious, and eventually you'll be on the inside and you'll be right here in the Zoom room with us. There's 49 people here today.
Dr. Reese, there was two things I was hoping you would be able to comment on.
Yep.
You've said before, maybe it was in private conversation with me, I don't remember, but you said that the postural therapy was more difficult than the PhD.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that?
Well, 600 muscles, 200 bones, thousands of tendons and ligaments and fascia. The human body is fascinating. It is very complicated. And yeah, I found the musculoskeletal system to be more difficult to learn than nutrition and mindfulness. And I think mindfulness is the easiest to understand. It's just hard. It's just hard to practice because you're stuck in your head, nutrition can be complicated when you start getting in all the enzymes and the aminos, but the musculoskeletal system, man, it's a work of art. It is insane. You know, the femur and the tib fib and the acetabulum and the muscles are just, oh my gosh, there's muscles upon muscles. There's muscles under muscles. There's muscles under muscles. So it's like you think about the trapezius, right? It's a well-known muscle. There's a bunch of muscles under the trapezius, you know? And, the psoas muscle, how it goes from the lower back down to the femur. I mean, that's just like, it's insane. There's no way we're not intelligently designed. There's no way. It's not possible. To have this muscle that starts on your lower back, comes through your pelvis, and attaches to your femur, which is what we're using right now to sit down. The psoas, you know. Yeah, cross your leg like this. That's the sartorius muscle, which is known as the tailor's muscle, because tailors used to tailor your clothes with their leg crossed. You know, things like that. The sartorius.
Jeez.
And a lot of the muscles cross joints. So, like the sartorius crosses joints. So if you think about it like a rubber band, you know, it starts here and ends here, but in between there's a joint. So you have a puppeteering type thing happening, right? And then that roots back to the mind because it's attached to the nervous system. And then that roots back to the nutrition because the muscle needs a certain amount of nutrients. So a little bit of a tangent there, but the posture and the musculoskeletal system is the most fascinating, in my opinion. It's hard. It's hard. And we're bringing on a musculoskeletal expert who's going to be doing Fridays now. This Friday will be her first class. Her name is Rain Krause. And whoever comes to her class is going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be overwhelmed. I'm telling you right now. You're not ready. You're not ready.
Not at all.
It's different than the other classes, you know. And she knows those muscles.
I think
You said earlier that you don't use what you learned in the nutrition PhD. And I'd like to know more about what you did actually learn in the nutrition PhD, but I'd like to say something first. You know, a lot of people are looking at me like a nutrition sort of expert. I don't have any degrees or anything like that. I've just been doing this for 10 years. And I like the study. I'm interested in it. You know, I'm obsessed with it in a way. And now that's my job to learn about this. But the guy who fixed me was a bus driver. He was a bus driver. He drank, he smoked, he worked in the mines for 30 years. He didn't know anything about nutrition, really, like any of the details at all. Couldn't tell you any of the details. Couldn't tell you anything about the musculoskeletal system. And yet I had arthritis. And this man fixed me very, very easily. You know, it wasn't a big deal for him. I had a great result. It's not always that easy. I'm just saying, this guy he grew up in the mines, in the nickel mines. You know, he drove truck for 20 years, another 20 years after that, with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth the entire time.
Yeah.
And he was driving a city bus. A buddy of mine ran into him, and we became friends, and he fixed me. You don't need a medical degree to know what to do. There's a grassroots movement out there that we're part of, passing on this information. And now, you know, we've combined that with you. We've joined forces here and putting in the postural alignment therapy as well, which is very complicated. You know, my wife was studying to be a personal trainer this whole summer. I know it's not the same thing, But I was amazed by how much she had to learn just to be a personal trainer. I don't know anything about this. I can't name muscles for you and tendons and ligaments. I can talk about the nutrients that are involved in them, but I can't give you an overview of the anatomy of the skeleton. I just can't do it. It's too complicated. And so she was working her buns off all summer, studying this huge textbook to just for personal training,
Yeah.
just to know the body, because the body is very, very complicated. But yeah, I would be interested to know what you did actually learn in nutrition, because that is your credential. It's not just a PhD in social science or something. You're not a psychologist here. You learned this in nutrition, but you said you don't use a lot of that. So what did they teach you?
It was very plant-based, very acid alkaline. Yeah, man, it was a long time ago. So I don't know how much I could speak to it, but my thesis was like on the medical monopoly, kind of the beginning of the Red Book.
Was that the time that you were more plant-based?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Sort of, yeah, on the cusp of ending it, yeah. Yep. I was just trying to get the doctor title, man. That's all. But I had, if anyone knows my story, I quit. By the time my degree came, I was done. I wasn't taking clients or nothing. I was burnt out. And I was just going to do Sunlight Sunny and do the children's project. But so I got called back to do all this.
How?
It'll be in my memoir when it comes out in 2027.
Wow, you're gonna make us wait that long?
That long.
That's crazy.
It's not needed now. But yeah, I got called back to this, and here we are. So.
All right. Coach Ryan, did you have any other questions for Dr. Reese?
I'm just interested in this whole concept because, you're saying that the doctor title gives you credibility. Well, really, people who are skeptical, it's only the MD, medical doctor, that's going to satisfy them anyways. So, a lot of people have told me, like my wife and stuff, maybe you should go become a naturopath. And my response is the skeptics don't care about that either. The ND is a joke to those people anyways. We're not going to satisfy them.
Right.
And I'm definitely not going to go be an MD and learn about drugs. There's no point in that. I don't want to be a surgeon or anything.
No, yeah.
I'm not going to dispense drugs. So why would I do that? And it's only the MD that's going to satisfy them anyways. I could go and get a PhD, and like you're saying, Dr. Reese, like we've seen, I answer your comments. I know it's not going to satisfy them. No. They love you or they hate you. And the haters are not going to be satisfied by any doctor. The doctorate itself doesn't matter. But you're also saying, and you made a post recently about this too, that the letters don't matter anyways. They don't matter anyways. I don't personally see a need to go to school for this. As long as you do keep studying, keep practicing, keep learning. I'm learning new stuff all the time. But in general, like I said, with the bus driver that fixed me, people ask me this. They say, well, what do I need to do what you do, Ryan? And I say, you probably know more than you need to know already. Right? Because I'm doing lives on Instagram and stuff, answering questions. I never had that. We never saw that. We learned the basics, use these few products, get them off of the bad foods, and you're usually good to go. You usually don't need to know anything more than that. People think they need to be an expert in order to begin. No, you don't. I didn't know anything when I started. I had arthritis. I fixed my arthritis. I'd be in the grocery store looking at someone who's hunched over or crippled or someone who can't grab the food off the shelf well, and I'd go up to them and say, hey, I think I can help you. And most of the time, the protocols worked very well. And eventually, you run into cases that are tougher, and you got to learn a little bit extra to help them. But you really don't need to know much to help yourself or to help other people. It's great if you have somebody confident that can actually give you the recommendation, but they actually don't need to know how that recommendation works. They don't need to know why it works. They just need to know that it works.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to satisfy everyone. And yeah, I mean, the doctor title helps with a bunch of things that, it helps with business in a way. Probably helped my dating life. It probably did. You know, but it's just not necessary for healing. It's just, you know, it just gives you a little bit of status. I could call a restaurant and make a special, you know, reservation or stuff like that, but it has nothing to do with head to toe healing at all.
Mm.